Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to your favorite show. This is Talk Show. So, today we have very special guest. Please welcome Miss Eno. She is a professor from a private university in Salatiga. And okay, the next guest is Miss Jessica. She is also a teacher from a famous private high school in Salatiga. And the last guest is Helena. She is a student of Miss Jessica. Okay, so today we will talk about student anxiety from two perspectives. So before we're going further, what is anxiety? Well, anxiety is a feeling of worry, anxiety or fear that are strong enough to interfere with others with one daily activities. Okay, we're going to start with Helena perspective first. Please, Helena.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Noreno, for the opportunity. I'm so happy to be here to share my experience about anxiety on speaking. Anxiety is when you feel scared of doing something, you feel hesitate to doing something. So this is uh, happened to me in senior high school, and that was my teacher, Miss Jessica. She is my teacher also, know about me. So anxiety is when I afraid to be corrected by my teacher, and when I feel scared to doing something and hesitate to doing something. Actually, when I'm doing speaking, so in front of the people, in from other students. So that was my experience about anxiety. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Helena, for sharing. So now let's listen from Miss Jessica perspective. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Miss Noreen. And as I know, anxiety is a kind of feelings of worriedness or fearness or even an uneasiness. So I think that all people might have an anxiety. There is no exceptions, especially for a language learner like my students or like Helena. So I think that anxiety in second language acquisitions is really matter because we think that uh, we know that my students learn the other language which they're not their first language, so that they will feel worry and have difficulty. And based on the book that I read recently, there are Angelia and Listiani. They mentioned that anxiety is not an illness. It's just kind of behavior to react outcoming unpredictable situations. So I think that my students feel worried. It can be set as the reactions about something, and it can be called as anxiety. That's all from me.
Okay, thank you, Miss Jessica. So now, to make it clear, please share your opinion, Miss Eno. Time is yours.
Thank you, Miss Noreen. So I totally agree with Miss Jessica. Because anxiety is normal. Uh, Anxiety is caused by a situation and student itself. Sometimes anxiety comes when the students are overthinking or they are too worried when they have to speak English. There are three types of anxiety, which are trait, state, and situation specific anxiety. I will try to explain it one by one. The first one is trait anxiety. It is caused in any situation. So whenever students are asked to speak English, they get nervous, they worry too much, so it makes them cannot speak clearly. And the second one is state anxiety. In this anxiety, it is temporary, so it happens when the students have their test or they have to speak in audience that they are not familiar with, and uh, when they have to speak with people or stranger, they get nervous, they get anxious in that situation. And the last is situation specific anxiety. It is a little bit same with the state anxiety, but in this time it take more time. It take more time because they can nervous and they feel worried when they face a certain situation. I think that's all for now.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing, Miss Eno. So, is there any relation between Miss Eno explanations and your experience? Miss Jessica, please, could you tell us?
Yes, so there is relations since my students face them all of the types from the trade, what else state and the other one. So is it right, Daddy? You feel that when you are in my class?
Yeah, that's right.
Daddy?
I have experienced before. So actually, I feel I have experience about trait anxiety. So when I'm asking by my teacher to speak in front of the people or in front of my friends in the class, I feel so nervous and get panic at the time because I'm not ready, right? So like suddenly my teacher asked me to speak in front of my friends, so I got nervous or worried because I'm not sure with my capacity of to speak. So uh, and then I have experience about situation specific uh, anxiety. So it's like Miss Eno have explained before. I think I have situation specific when I have a presentation maybe that was I feel so nervous because uh, I feel so worried to make a mistake. So uh, my anxiety become so increased at the time. So that's it. Thank you.
Yes, so that's what happened with my student. It's relate with these situations. I agree with Miss Eno.
Okay, thank you. Now we have already known the perspective in general. So now the real case will be discussed. Could you tell us about your speaking anxiety, Helena?
Yeah, thank you, Miss Nurien. This is uh, so now actually I feel so nervous to speak here because I'm not doing this. Uh, so sometimes when I speak uh, in front of my friends or in front of my teacher, I feel unsure with the vocabulary that I have before because I think too much about that. So you know, I have to speak. So I think that is it right or not? Is it the correct vocab or not? So this make me anxiety at the time. So that's it. The first problem that I have. Thank you, Miss Nurin.
Okay, thank you, Miss Helena. So, uh, what is the impact of your speaking anxiety?
I think the effect sometimes when I feel unsure with the vocabulary that I have, it make me blank. So I don't know what to speak at the time. I don't know what to speak, and when we stand up in front of my teacher, I feel hesitate or about this is right or not. So sometimes I get pressure, and but the general I feel blank at the time. So that's the common factor that I have.
Okay, thank you. And is that kind of anxiety surely happens to your speaking class, Miss Jessica? I need your explanation. Thank you.
Okay, so that was happened to my class. Not only Deti, not only Helena, but most of the students will felt blank when they are asked to speak in front of the class. But before that, I want to explain that actually there are some factors that may cause an anxiety. The first factors is communication apprehensions. It is about the learner who think that the others evaluate them. So they feel nervous. And the second one is the test anxiety. In here, the learner expect that all the foreign language is a kind of test. So they will be nervous if they are speak not in their first language. And then the last one, the third, it's about fear of negative evaluations. And in here, the learner assumes that the other will be evaluate them negatively. So they will think about that. And for this case, for DETI, we can categorize as communication apprehensions because DETI do the communications and it's about the vocabulary. And then based on my experience, uh, students who are came in front of the class, they sometimes don't have any idea what she or he wants to talk, and they just keep quiet. So I think that they are afraid if they will make a mistakes. So I have an thought that it relates with the role of L1. So the L1 here can influence their second language acquisitions. So they make me feel difficult, especially when they learn about speaking and about the vocabulary. So that was happened with my class. Since English is not their first language, they felt difficulty in vocabulary. What do you think about it, Miss Ina? Do you agree with me?
Yes, Miss Jessica, I totally agree because this anxiety commonly happens in speaking class. I think it not only for the students. Sometimes we also get nervous when we have to speak in front of people, right? I mean, like when you have your speech or you have to speak with stranger, you get nervous, and it's normal. And actually, in speaking about anxiety, there are so many factors. As McClantry mentioned, uh, speaking in second language is the most anxiety, and Students or people can get nervous when people say they are speaking. I mean, see they are speaking. As Helena mentioned and Miss Jessica mentioned, sometimes they are lack of vocabulary, or they think too much about the grammar. They are afraid to being corrected with their friends or their teacher. Actually, we cannot define what the factors that students face unless we talk with students. Like Helena have explained what she's feeling about anxiety, what she's feeling with when she is speaking in front of people, right? It also can be caused because social aspects that make the students don't feel comfortable to speak. For example, in their home, in their house, Helena Helena doesn't speak her target language. So in school, she have to speak English. So it makes her feel so nervous. She is afraid, and I think that's all for me.
Okay, thank you, Miss Eno, for sharing. As we know that anxiety usually appears when you're in speaking class or course or maybe in any occasion. So the learners often feel that way because they feel that they are not better. So now, next questions. Is there any other factor that causes your speaking anxiety, Helena? Please share.
Okay, thank you, Miss Nurin. Uh, yeah, I think I have the other problem in speaking. Uh, Actually, I always thought that the teacher demanded me to be a better speaker. You know, sometimes there is the the teacher that really perfectionist, right? So it makes their students like feel a demand by their expectation, right? So when your teacher expect you to become a good speaker, but you are not, right? So that's sometimes it makes me feel pressure, uh, and sometimes it not it was not good also for the students because the teacher sometimes have the high as expectation by for to speak uh, to their students, right? So that's the problem, Miss Nurin.
Okay, thank you. So how about Miss Jessica? What is your opinion based on Helena's experience?
Okay, that's right. It was happen with my class. I can see that their performance are were different from before, and they get pressure, and then the material that I give can be understood by them easily. So I usually change the activity, like provide them games or sing a song so that they can be more enjoy doing the activity, and I will give some motivation to them so that they will be more um, motivated. And also, uh, this kind of anxiety can be called as a test anxiety factor. So the students like Helena think that we as a teachers are really demanding them to be a perfect one, but in the reality, we know that we as teachers also not a perfect teacher, so don't worry about that because our aims as the teachers here is not demanding you, but we will support you. We will not correct it you or have a high expectation like that, because we want to help you and give you feedback so that you will not do the same mistakes again. And also, I want to say that please don't be afraid to be corrected. Just be grateful, because it means that I give more attention for you students. So, is there any relation with this situation, Miss Eno, or the theory maybe?
Okay, thank you, Miss Jessica. The case that Miss Jessica talks about is categorized as state anxiety. The most students are afraid to be corrected, and here we need teachers' role to change students' perspective. As Carson stated, I think that the students don't need to be afraid of being corrected. Here's the teachers need to change their students' perspective that being corrected is fine, make mistake is fine. We can learn from the mistakes, so the students will not the same mistake in the future. And I wanna tell you, Helena, that it is okay to have nervous to get nervous or worried sometimes, but if your teacher correct you, it doesn't mean that you are stupid, doesn't mean that you are not good enough. She's only Your teacher only wants you to being improved in your speaking skills. That's for me.
Okay, thank you, Miss Eno, for sharing. So we all here know that the case that experienced by Helena is categorized as trait anxiety. Okay, is there any solution for that issues? Maybe Miss Eno could help us to answer it. Please, Miss Eno.
Okay, thank you. So to solve this problem, uh, based on my experience, the teacher, the students have to build a good communication first. Like I have mentioned before, uh, we as a teacher can help the students to increase their self-esteem first, to build that their confidence, to change their perspective that being corrected is fine, it is normal, and have anxiety in speaking class is normal. Even we as a teacher also get nervous sometimes. And as Croatian state, foreign language anxiety is easily affected by an individual's self-esteem. So others people might think that this is because they are lack of confidence, they are worried, they are afraid to being corrected. So we as a teacher have to know their background first. As Helena have mentioned before, some teachers want to their students can speak fluently, they have to perform perfectly, but in fact we forget that every student has different background. So we need to pay attention to this thing first. And for the students, for Helena, is it okay to make mistake? And believe me that practice makes perfect. So even now you are not really fluently, or you get nervous too much when you are speaking, but if you practice it time by time, you will get what you want. You can speak fluently, and you can handle your anxiety. That's for me.
Okay, thank you, Miss Eno, for your explanation. So, Miss Jessica, maybe you want to add more from your opinion?
Okay, but before that, thank you for the solutions, Miss Eno. It really helps me since my students are really afraid if they want to speak in front of the class, and they are so afraid to speak to me. Maybe they think negatively of being corrected or judged and the other. And also, this is maybe the real problem, miscommunications, since communication is really matter. And also, thank you so much for Betty for your sharing so that I can understand your worriedness and your anxiety, especially. That's all.
Okay, thank you very much. So, this is the end of the show. We know that speaking anxiety is really disturbing for many learners around the world. Speaking anxiety could make students do their work or study without maximum potential. So after the show ends, I hope we can share something benefits to ourselves or and also somebody around us. So thank you for watching our show and see you.
See you. Thank you, Miss Nurin.